Hey there, everybody. My name is Mike. I am Not For Coltrane, and welcome to Rockin' the Valley's Cyber Speakeasy, your source for music, conversation, and cocktails. Oh, and I think things are indeed working as they should. It is always a little touch and go with these sorts of setups. So we've been away for a little bit. We haven't had a new episode of the Cyber Speakeasy for a little while, and I'm so happy that we have some wonderful folks to bring to your attention this evening for our to enjoy a pleasant conversation and enjoy some music with. So in terms of pleasant and wonderful and all of those sorts of things, I have with me the one and only Art Charlton of the Big Easy Easton Brass. How are you, Art?
I'm good. How are you?
I am okay. Like I say,
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
always a little touch and go. It's to try
it
to
is.
actually make things actually work.
What
So
are you
Art,
drinking? Okay.
well, I was going to ask about yours first, but I'll tell you
All
about
right.
mine. This is essentially a raspberry Arnold Palmer. It is
Mm,
raspberry iced tea, so raspberry herbal tea, which is then iced and sugared, of course, mixed with some lemonade. And there also are, so you can't really see it, but there are also, oh yeah, you can, some actual
okay.
fresh raspberries muddled in there as well. It's not bad.
Nice.
It's
Nice.
pretty
Very
refreshing.
good. All right.
How about
Well,
you, Art? What do you have?
I don't have my drink yet. I was going to make it on air. I have
Oh,
I have my
oh,
ice chilling in the glass, and actually, you'll notice glass from formerly my favorite bar in the world. I also have a shirt from there that I bought at auction when they closed. So I
uh-huh.
figure I've got the. So I am going to make a Negroni tonight while we chat.
Oh, that's
And
excellent.
since it is a speakeasy, I have my little portable bar kit,
Oh,
which is
wow.
authentic, probably good for speakeasies. And you
Very
open it up,
nice.
and
Oh, man.
so
This
while we talk,
this
I'm
man
going to
comes
get this
prepared.
stuff out, and that's right. Well, I've waited a long time to be here, as you well
This
know.
is true. This is true. Well, and so yeah, so let's talk about that too.
Let's talk
Is
about
one of
that.
the interesting things about our interaction is that the scheduling in terms of for in fact both of the guests who are on the show tonight. So we have you, Art Charlton, of many things, including the Big Easy Easton Brass. We are also featuring the one and only Warren Snead, a tremendous bass player here in the Lehigh Valley. And there have been all sorts of scheduling issues with both of you. So for Warren's situation, first I screwed up.
Mhm.
We were going to do a Cyber Speakeasy show in August, and we made these plans. And then Music Fest said, "Hey, we're actually going to do Music Fest," and we all got really busy. And then like, "Oh wait,
Mhm.
crud! That episode of Cyber Speakeasy is supposed to be happening during Music Fest," and Warren had
Mhm.
like back-to-back gigs and was going to try to just parachute in for just a moment to do our show. And I'm like, you know what? It's fine. We'll do a Cyber Speakeasy reprise. Everyone's out busy doing Music Fest things. We're not going to worry about it tonight. That's okay. And so we didn't actually have a live show last month in August of 2021. Warren and I, got back together and said, hey, he said, oh yeah, the date for the live show in September should work great. Okay, awesome. And I sent him a thing yesterday, and he's like, oh crud. Because he had a gig that came together just recently for one of his bands, Chasing Daylight, or well, I should say one of the bands that he's in, Chasing Daylight, and so they had to go do a rehearsal this evening. In fact, that's what Warren and everybody in the band is doing right now. So Warren wonderfully was able to arrange his schedule to be online with me earlier this afternoon. I was able to record that conversation, and we will play it here in just a few moments. So we will be able to see and hear and have that interaction with Warren. So that's cool, and I'm very grateful to Warren for that. And then there's a story with you, my friend. You were scheduled to be on our show. It was the second show of this season, the same night that we had the wonderful Kim Edwards on.
Yes, I
And
was
then
hoping to meet
and
her.
yes, and I'm so sorry that you weren't able to.
Yeah,
Although of course you can watch the video
I
as you may
did, and
already
I
have.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We wished you well, and you were not feeling so
I
well that
was
evening.
not feeling well, and it had nothing to do with this. And I had gone to a festival, and it was pretty much the first festival, first going out and being around people last spring, and went to a restaurant and ended up with food poisoning. So, although at the time, you know, that day, actually, as your show was on, I was in the midst of getting a COVID test because I had no idea what was
what could be the issue.
You know, it was the first time going to a festival, being around people, not wearing a mask, dining indoors. And so I said, well, just to be safe, let's make sure. And it turned out it was simply food poisoning. And there actually were several other people who died there that night. So
you said several other people who dined there, meaning they ate there.
They ate there. Yes.
Yes. The food poisoning was not so severe that they expired.
Died there.
Yes.
No. I know it's my sort of you know, mumbly Jersey accent there.
It's also the limitations of the technology, and I just want to be extra clear. You never know when there are going to be legal repercussions to something or other.
We have our Campari. We have our I happen to like this vermouth a lot, Antica. And then because this is the Cyber Speakeasy, I'm using this bootlegger gin that someone gave me. It's not as clear as your, you know, usually I'd be using, you know, Bombay or something, but whatever. But it's really aromatic. It's very nice. So that's what I'm doing.
Excellent.
I have it measured out, and we're just gonna let this get nice and icy, and then we'll pour in a little bit. So. I did put it out to the great hive mind, and AJ Hosny. AJ, if you're watching, he recommended that I make a Boulevardier. Ted Dillenkoffer, who is a fine bass player, since tonight is bass player night and bass instrument night. Ted said I should have a Moscow Mule with rum instead of vodka, or he said that's what he would want. And Melanie Teal, who we're going to talk about a little later, says, I love Negronis. Who doesn't love Negronis?
No, that's awesome. I think you're the first person who like crowdsourced input about the beverages they'd be having on the show. That's excellent. That's very, very cool.
Yeah. Just the case. Although I went back with what I was planning to make anyway. So can you hear those ice cubes tinkling?
All right.
I think I don't want to wait anymore. I'm gonna take this out while we luckily have a receptacle to put that in.
Indeed. That would be rather important part of the operation.
It would be. I'd be in big trouble if I just, you know.
Pour it on the floor. It's fine.
Yeah. Look at that frostiness.
Oh, nice.
Oh, don't want to put it over the computer, just in case. Yes.
That is a man who knows what he's doing.
There we go. Beautiful. Now, I don't have a little piece of orange to put in there, but, you know, orange is fruit, and that's vaguely healthy. So let's not go. Hey, cheers, man.
Cheers to you, sir. And to everyone who's watching. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right.
Oh, that is excellent.
That is excellent. I feel like one of those cooking shows where I should be like, you know.
Yes. That's something maybe we want to add to the Cyber Speakeasy. We have some more people who have bartending experience to bring that into. I think that'll be very, very cool.
Okay. And I do have a little ice left if I need to make another one before the hour is up.
Well, I think maybe what makes sense is this. Where'd you go?
I was putting my tools away.
Well, how about this? Let's let you put your tools away and enjoy your beverage, and we'll enjoy my conversation with Warren from earlier this evening. Does that work?
All right. Oh, and Warren, when you tune in later, Jeremy Joseph from the Big Easy says, "I know Warren. He's great. Oh man, he's a beast on bass." And Jeremy has a message for Warren. He's getting a new mute, and he said Warren would know what that means.
A new mute?
So he's got a new mute. M-U-T-E for his trumpet.
For his trumpet.
Jeremy,
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So that's wah sound on the trumpet.
Yeah. Message to Warren from Jeremy. Jeremy got a new mute.
All right. Let's go to my conversation with Warren. Warren, thank you so much for working with your schedule to find a way so that you could be here and do this.
Oh, my pleasure.
That's really cool. So, and I definitely want to make sure that we have a chance to talk about some of the gigs you have coming up. So let's start with your schedule this evening. Is you're making time to rehearse with some people because I'm sure you're going to be playing very, very soon. So how can people go out and see you?
Yeah, I'm practicing tonight with Chasing Daylight.
Okay.
That's Bobby Siegfried, Garrett, Taylor DeFranco. Normally it would be I can't remember the drummer's name, but Matt Hintz. But we're actually going to be using a guy named George Hartman, one of my friends. I work with him.
Oh, that's cool.
Too, so we're going to give him a shot, and we're going to be playing. I think it's the 6th. I think it's Thursday at Arts Walk out here in Allentown.
Oh, at Arts Walk in Allentown. That's very cool. That's excellent.
Yes.
Good deal.
And yeah, then I got some stuff coming up with Copperfields. I know you remember when I used to play with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're getting things back together, working on some newer stuff and going over the older stuff too as well. So looking forward to that,
That is very, very cool. So yeah, I guess, and let's start with one of the things we're talking about, because you play with so many bands and so many performers here in Lehigh Valley. There's some where you probably consider yourself to be part of the band, and there's some where you're sort of hey, so and so needs someone to fill in, or someone just for a gig every once in a while, but you play with them on a regular basis. So let's start with I did not mean that as a pun. You play with them on a regular basis. You are, yes, you're the bassist who plays on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So let's start off with some of the bands that you play with most frequently. You mentioned Copperfields and
Chasing Daylight. I sit in every now and then with the Billy Bauer Band.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have something coming up. I think I got a show coming up with them at the end of the month. At least it was scheduled for the end of the month.
Well, yeah.
And then I played with Sean Lowley. I don't know if y'all saw him, but he was on the news today on Channel 69.
Oh, wow. That's great.
So when he has full band stuff, I play with him. And actually, I do consider myself like a part of every band. It's like every now and then I get to just, fill in or something like that. But for the most part, I'm learning all the music by ear. So it's like a lot of hours putting in, listening to one song, and it's like, multiply that by 30 songs and, 6, 7 bands. It gets trying at times,
That's a lot to keep track of. Well, I also know that some people, will like, hey, I'm going to have some sheet music or some notes or something in front of me. But to try to memorize for that many bands that's a lot. Yeah,
I'm kind of like, I guess maybe I have a little touch of Rain Man disease or something. And then I also play with a band called the Stray Seeds.
Right.
Yeah, and actually the bass player with them, he also plays with Billy Bauer. So it always goes back and forth between me and him playing with the Stray Seeds.
Okay.
Matter of fact, they're going to be doing a special show. I think it's this Monday or next Monday coming up. It's to honor Ian Gallagher's uncle that passed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I never got a chance to meet him, but it's going to be a great show. It's like a lot of Grateful Dead tunes. And actually, Steve Zalalis, they call him Shoebox, he's going to be playing with them for that, because even though it was more the Dead stuff than I do. And then also Bobby Soul and Bobby Soul's Filet of Soul blues band. We just did Blues, Brews, and Barbecues, and he's actually a bass player as well. He was playing with Charlie Brown's Notorious Groove.
Oh, wow.
And then he wanted to, he does his own thing on blues guitar and vocals. So when I play with him, I'm bass and I hold him down as best as I can.
There you go. And you've done stuff with Penley Holmes too. Yes,
I do. We just played at Sorrenti this past weekend. Yeah, did a double. Matter of fact, the first show was with Pentley and the second show was with Copperfield. So it was like I was able to take off work that day at least, you know.
So, I mean, one of the things that's so cool about that, you know, as a working musician, it can be really challenging to line up, you know, enough. And it sounds like you are really, not only are you know you're really skilled, you're very much in demand because all these people know you, like, oh yeah, he's a guy that we want to have working with us when we have a gig. We either need someone to fill out the sound, or you know, one of the other bassists we work with isn't available. We need to have someone come in. So first off, how do you keep it all straight? How do you manage all that?
Well, my girlfriend, she helps me keep all the dates straight. Matter of fact, she just passed me a note with, you know, with other people that I play with, because
that's awesome.
I get forgetful, you know.
Well, it's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, and a lot of times, you know, I do, like, if somebody say, hey, we need a bass player, you know, I don't try to take him on. You know, I'll say, okay, well, I know this guy. I can get you in touch with this guy, and if this guy can't make it, I know another guy, and if he can't make it, then I'll got you covered. I'll sit in for you, you know. But I usually do try to spread it around, because, you know, it's like it's no sense for one person to be doing everything when other people are equally as talented and equally as fun to be around and stuff like that, you know. So I try to spread it around, and if somebody can't do it, then I'll cover it, and people do the same thing for me. So
yeah, well, that's cool.
I'm fortunate that way.
How is and I play a little bit of bass. I'm definitely not as nearly as plugged in as you are in terms of people. One thing, when people think, oh, I need a bass player, they don't think me, they think you, which is great, which is absolutely as it should be. But you know, but you talk about being able to sort of refer other people in. What sort of community or you know, connection is there with other bass players here in the Lehigh Valley?
You know, when we all tend to support each other, and if somebody posts something, or you know, we like each other's stuff, and you know, when we do get to see each other, it's nothing but love. You know what I mean? Like one of my favorite people, you know, I'm gonna give a shout out, is Scott Siska. You know, matter of fact, he just you know, did me a nice salad, you know, to help me fill out my sound. He, you know, I purchased a speaker. I think he builds basses and fixes basses and all that kind of stuff. And he had an extra 15-inch speaker for me. So, you know, I bought that. I could have spent a nice amount of money, but he gave me a good break on it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it's, you know.
Very cool.
And for the most part, like I said, you know, most of us, most of the bass players I know, we're all happy to see each other whenever we can. You know?
Yeah. Well, I imagine that part of what makes it, you know, especially when you do have a chance to visit with each other, you know, as a working musician, it's rare that we can get to each other's gigs in the first place. Right. And then if you're a bassist, like, you're booked, you're playing somewhere else, so there probably isn't a lot of opportunity to just sort of hang out. So when there is a chance, like, oh hey, I love your stuff. I saw you're doing online. It's really cool, you know, to have a chance to catch up a little bit.
And then, like, that was the thing I used to like about going to the award ceremonies. Yes, because you see a lot of people that you never see, but you might have been friends. Like, you know, one time I posted, hey, I'm gonna go down to the awards. You know, I know I have a lot of musicians friends. You know, so if you see me and you recognize me, please stop and say hi. And if I recognize you, I'll do the same. Because these were people I didn't know. I swear, you know, Eric Budahas was like, you know, he walked past and said, Warren Snead, you know, said, hey, you know, I'm Eric, man. You know, we hung out for a minute. They came up in a limo, you know. Oh, so man. I said, yo, let me take a picture in front of the limo. He said, man, get the hell in it.
Oh, that's cool. But that also does make me think of one of your signature things is, you know, when you see somebody, you know, like, hey, we're going to take a picture together. So you have this whole library of selfies that you take with, you know, whoever you run into, especially at something like the Lehigh Valley Music Awards. Right. How did that start? How did that become a thing?
Well, it just helps me remember a person, because, you know, it's like, it's better, you know, like, and that goes for not just the musicians, but like the people that come out to support local music. Absolutely. You know, you want to give them, you know, they're just as important to the music scene as the musicians are. So you want to try to, you know, personalize it and make them, make them know that you're happy that they're there.
It works. It absolutely works.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was curious about is sort of your journey to becoming a bass player, because usually it's not, I'm certain there are some people who are like, man, from a little kid, that's the thing I always wanted to do. Sort of the classic thing that happens for a lot of people is, you get together with some people when you're in your teens or your 20s, and everybody plays guitar, and someone says, "Oh, hey, I'll learn the bass." Famously, Paul McCartney is sort of probably the most famous example of that. But it's happened over and over and over again for a lot of really great bassists, where they needed a bass player, and someone's like, "Hey, that sounds cool."
I've heard of that. Yeah.
What was your story? What brought you to this instrument?
It is funny because I just found out this story like within the last few years. My mother now she tells it all the time.
Oh, that's great.
But she says,
share.
Yeah, she says, when you were a kid, you seen somebody playing, something on TV, playing the guitar, and you said, I can do that. And, so now she said that we wasn't, we weren't well off, so she couldn't afford to buy the instrument. So she said, oh, no, you couldn't do that, not knowing that one day I would, so
right. Yes.
Eventually my sister, one of my sisters gave me a guitar, a folk guitar. And as I was messing around with it, eventually, a string pop, and now it's down to 5, and another string pop, now it's down to 4. And I didn't know anything about replacing strings. I was a kid, and so I ended up playing, I was playing single notes anyway. And, then a couple years later, a cousin gave me a bass. And, then, and I grew up like my father, he was a singer. And he had a group out of Philadelphia called the Mighty Voices of Thunder.
Okay.
And eventually I started playing with them, as a mistake, but it worked, and I played with them for a few years, and it was a good experience, playing in church,
absolutely.
And we traveled from different churches, from here down to South Carolina, and did a couple 45s,
Oh,
a couple
wow,
records.
great.
Yeah. So I had a good time, And I was young at the time, so it's, then I stopped playing for a lot of years, just like, life happens, just other things pique your interest, and you end up doing that. The next thing you know, it's been like a few years, but I always had an instrument, or I got a keyboard, a guitar, a bass. Always had instruments, but never really pushed for it again. And then actually that's how. And I'm working at the Brew Works, and I was coming out of there. This is how I met Copperfields. And I was coming out there just starting to play again. And I seen they were going, I was coming out, I was getting off work, and they were going in with equipment. And I said, y'all a band? They said, yeah. I said, who's the bass player? They said, well, we don't have a bass player. We're looking for one. I said, well, I'm a bass player looking for a band, And 2 weeks later, man, two weeks later. Yeah. And then we never looked back,
Yeah, that is very cool. That is very, very cool. And so you play some guitar, you play some piano. Is that the other instruments you do a little bit?
Yeah, I do a little bit. I dabble with the keys and the guitar, but I'm really a bass player at heart. But
Sure.
I end up playing keys because especially with like the sounds that the keyboards can give you, you end up I wanted to learn stuff like the intro to Stairway to Heaven, so I could play it on the keys. And somebody said, "Oh, you play keys?" I said, "A little bit, and then and they're like, "Oh, you're a genius." They don't freak out,
Yeah. What are the things so then, you do tend to keep coming back to the bass. What are the things about that instrument that really speaks to you?
I don't know. It's the tone of it, like the feel of the strings, the I don't know what it is, but like a lot of people, I said it before, like on a post or something. That's like one of the times when I really have a smile, whether it's just hitting a single note, and hearing it. I don't know what it is, but it's just the tone, the vibrations, I guess, vibrations are, all around us, so, you know.
I picked up Vic Wooten's book,
Mhm.
The Lesson, a little
Mhm.
while ago. Victor Wooten, of course, being a tremendous bass player,
Yes.
another one of these world-class musicians.
Hmm.
Plays with Bela Fleck and the Fleck
Bela
Note,
Fleck.
and
Yep.
of course a whole bunch of others. I think this is where I think that's where I got this observation from. This idea that the bass it's in a lot of ways it's the connection between the rhythm
Hmm.
and the melodic parts of the song.
Right.
It's kind of what brings those together because it has kind of a foot in both worlds, and it's where those connect.
Right.
And in that sense, it kind of becomes sort of the kind of the beating heart, the
Hmm.
thing that puts everything together for the band.
Yeah, definitely. Even if you didn't notice it, like
Yes, yes,
'cause
and that's a really
our,
good point.
yeah, because that's our job to really just do our job. Like not try to be a guitar player, not try to be a lead vocalist. We're supposed to hold a groove down and like you said, tie the treble clef and the and the percussion. You gotta tie it
right.
together.
But that's a really good observation too. The idea that so much of what a bass player's job is to make everybody else sound amazing.
Hmm.
And even if you don't notice specifically what the bass player is doing,
Right. Yeah.
but you notice how awesome the band sounds, and that what the bassist does is so fundamental to that. That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very.
I
very
love it. Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit. I neglected to mention this at the beginning of the segment, so tell me a little bit about what you're drinking.
This is actually Smirnoff vodka. I usually do the cheaper stuff, and they didn't have it. Where I went the other day, so I said, "Well, just give me whatever else you got." And I seen the Smirnoff, and I said, "Okay, I'll just take that." And it was like $1.50 more. And so I said, "Well, I'm glad you didn't have the other one." It's a step up.
There you go. Well, here's to you, man. Thank you so much for making time to do this. And I know you need to run, but if we could hear a little something, from you with your bass, I know you got it hooked up there. If you'd be willing to, and you talked about how often the bassist, is not front and center, but I would like to put you front and center for a moment to show us a little bit what you can do with your axe there.
Okay, I just and then this bass I have here. This is a Squire Jazz. I got this because of the tone. Because like you were talking about Victor Wooten, I love Victor Wooten's style. He's the king of style. But Marcus Miller is the king of tone.
Nice.
So that's why I kind of like when I'm sitting there trying to just jam out at home by myself. I listen to a lot of Marcus Miller.
Nice.
I listen to Victor Wooten stuff because he does the. That kind of stuff, but
he's got like overtones and stuff. But he's also doing things like he's doing flips and whatever on the stage, and
let me see. Marcus Miller, he does a version of Frankenstein that I like.
Oh, nice.
Oh. All right, that's it.
Oh, it sounds good to me, man.
I'm trying.
That is very, very cool. And you can
edit that one out.
What I probably could also do though is pull up one of the videos that you posted on YouTube. Is there one that's one of your favorites?
Like the Strawberry Letter 23, or
All
Get
right.
the Funk Out My Face.
We'll
by the
put one of
Brothers
those-
Johnson.
We'll put one of those up in the show.
Okay.
Warren, thank you so much for making time for this. It's been really, really cool.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate, what you're doing, because like I said, what you're doing is just as important as what the musicians are doing, just as important with the venues, the
Yeah,
people that come out.
that's true.
It all,
The venues, the audiences, yeah.
yeah, like what you're doing, you're the bass player of,
There you
you're
go.
pulling everything together, getting this part of the music scene together with that part of the music scene.
That certainly is one of the goals. So I thank you, man. Thank you so much for making time.
All right, brother. See you later, man.
Take care. There it is, the great Warren Snead. Thank you so much, Warren, for making time to do that. That was really, really cool.
That was fantastic.
Right? How cool was that?
That was, oh man. I love the bass. I think it's my favorite. So
It is. Well, yeah. Well, you know what? And
That's it.
actually, first I wanted to say that one of the things that was cool about that for me was I usually don't make the time to go back and look at an interview right after I've done it. So that was actually kind of fun. Like, hey, that just happened. Oh, hey, that was really cool. That interaction and how that all works because watching is so different from being in it and experiencing it. But yeah, I want to come back to what you just mentioned in terms of the bass because it occurred to me, and I hadn't really thought about this when I was saying, hey, who's going to be on the show. But the trombone, that's another bass clef instrument, isn't it?
it is. It is.
It is. So I mean, that's another one where, and we're talking about this when we're getting set up a little bit. That, oh wait, I'm not used to playing the melody line. I'm used to playing either the bass line or one of the harmony lines. What were
Right.
some of the things that drew you to trombone in particular, and then how does that fit in the larger sound of whatever ensemble you're playing with?
Well, what drew me to it was like all the other boys in the fourth grade, I wanted to play drums, and there were about 40 of us in the room, and the
That gets
music
loud
teacher
real
said,
fast.
and apparently, yeah, and I guess I have some. I'm not a pro, but I guess I have some musicality. And the music teacher said, "You can't play drums. You must play a real instrument." And I said, "Okay, I'll play trumpet." And it was like, "Well, you'd have to rent a trumpet, but we have a French horn or a trombone." And she said, "And my favorite instrument's the French horn." And I said, "Well, sorry, Miss Elson, but I don't want to play French horn." So I became a trombone player.
There you go.
And played all through grade school, high school, and then put it down for a long time. Although I did also in the interim, I had learned to play baritone because I was in a drum corps and played marching baritone or bass trumpet or fat horn. As they called it. And so I still fooled around with that. Occasionally I would go back for reunions with the drum corps and then started doing Tuba Christmas, which is tubas and all members of the tuba family, including baritones, which are baby tubas. And so I played some Tuba Christmas, and then I happened to find this trombone and at an antiques show.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh, wow, that's very cool.
Yeah, and I played it, so I still, knew enough of what I was doing to say, hey, this is actually a real instrument. This should not end up as a lamp.
Yeah.
This horn.
Yeah.
So I started playing again, and then got involved in a community orchestra. I never played orchestral stuff before, so that I'd always done band stuff. And then I got a phone call from Jeremy, who wanted to put together. He found my name through an article about Tuba Christmas Easton.
Oh, wow.
And said, hey, do you know anybody who would like to be in a New Orleans style band? And I said, me. This is all I've wanted to do for the last 15 years. And the rest is history. So,
yeah, well, let's talk about that for a minute because Jeremy has been a guest on the show, but it was a little while ago. So bring people up to speed on what the Big Easy Easton Brass is and what is its sort of animating purpose.
Its animating purpose is to have fun, to bring the Mardi Gras spirit to the streets of Easton. And beyond. It's for all ages, all skill levels. So we have people who, Ken Gross, who has been a professional musician his whole life, and you have amateur pikers like myself, and you have, well, we did have young kids, but they're not so young anymore. The one's a freshman in high school, the other's an 8th grader. They're growing up, these guys. Their voices are changing.
We need
Joey
and
Jonathan. Yeah, so we need to get some more new kids in. But we have anywhere from probably the least we've done a gig with is maybe 10 people, and we've had well over 24 people. It's a kind of a loose thing. It's not like a band where you must be at all the gigs. Right. So so it's really to have fun and to do the Mardi Gras thing. Yes. I have my Mardi Gras flag behind me, which we always recruit somebody to wave that flag when we do our second line parades. And, so we've just been having a lot of fun with it. We're in our 4th season, amazingly enough. It's been, done like that. So,
it is very, very cool. It is very, very cool. And then the way that Jeremy, I know, talks about it is that so many of us, like you, started learning an instrument in elementary school. And maybe continued playing it through like middle and high school. And then it went to the closet. The instrument just sits in a closet because there wasn't the time or the inclination or necessarily the ability to, do it on a significant basis on a professional level. And for Jeremy, is like, why not use it? Why not do something with it, especially if it brings joy, right?
And it is all about bringing joy. That really is, as you said, the animating purpose is for us to have fun and for the people who are watching us to have fun. So,
and it is so much an interactive thing. In fact, first off, there are members of the Big Easton Brass who don't play any instrument at all, who might get dressed up and do something fun. They add to the performance, and they add something musical to the performance. It's not necessarily in the form of playing an instrument, so there's that. As well as there's very much a thing of, you're just going to incorporate whoever happens to be out on the street. They are going to become part of the show.
They do. We go up in our 4th Friday Easton Out Loud parades, which is really the main thing. We do a lot of other things, but that's every 4th Friday we got to do that. And we will come up to people who are dining outside in downtown Easton, and we'll start playing to them. And of course, everybody's right away. Everybody whips out their cell phones, and sometimes I wish they'd put the cell phone down and just dance with us. But a lot of times people do dance, and that's great. That's the best. And especially the little kids, when you see these like an 8 or 10-year-old, and they're starting to shimmy and group.
And I think
the best.
Yes, absolutely. When there's that immediate experience of it right in the moment, just when there's when there's someone who has no inhibitions about just dancing and being part of it.
Yes.
I think the other part of it too, though, is that if there's someone who whips out a camera, okay, then that's sort of mediating their experience of the band in the moment, and it is cementing the memory in a way that they're going to be able to go back and revisit it, as well as probably it's going to go online and it's going to have an exponential impact of so you're playing for that 5 minutes, and now suddenly it's reaching hundreds more people who didn't see that in person. So I don't know. I mean, I absolutely see your point, and I can see a value in all of it.
In both, yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think it's maybe worth, since we're on the subject of the Big Easton Brass. Maybe we have a few minutes right now, so let's talk about one of the things that the Big Easton Brass does. That's interactive. So one of the things is when you're out in a parade, and then you'll come across someone, and you'll say, okay, I think you give out stickers or something afterwards to say you got BEEBed.
BEEBed, yes.
You got BEEBed.
Big Easton Brass, BEEB. So for sure, we just call ourselves the BEEB.
The BEEB, yes.
And BEEB has become a word that is a noun, and it's a verb, and it's an adjective. And I'm feeling really BEEB today, but you got BEEBed is the main thing where we will surround someone, some unsuspecting diner or some kid or somebody who's looking at us from the second floor of their downtown apartment, second floor apartment downtown. And we will play to that person, like you right there. This show is for you.
Yes.
And I knocked my table there. And that's calling being beebed.
You got beebed,
So
yeah.
and Jeremy did make up stickers and say, "You've been beebed," or "You got beebed." I think it's
Right,
nice. So
right.
it's in the Mardi Gras colors, the yellow, the gold, green, and purple of
And
Mardi
another
Gras.
thing
So,
that you do when you're interactive, when you're in a spot where you're not constantly moving, because sometimes you have events where there's an audience, or you're moving
Right,
into
a
a spot of the
stage.
festival, and there's sort of a stage.
Mhm.
And one of the things you do is and I'm not sure I have the name correct, but is it a name that tune?
It is Name That Tune.
Describe
Right.
how that works.
Right. So someone from the band will step forward and they will play one note, and we want the audience to guess. Can you name that tune in one note? And of course, you can't in one note, usually.
Usually not.
Usually, although there's
It's
a lot
rare.
of good guesses,
Yes.
a lot of terrific Freebird, Star Spangled Banner. And 2 notes, 3 notes. Sometimes, somebody will get it in 3 notes to 4 notes. Sometimes it has to go to 5 or 6.
Yep.
One time, I think only one time, no one got it, and we were stunned because it's a song that you hear at every Easton football game. It's one of the stand songs. But we were in Washington Borough, Warren County. We were playing for the Steampunk Festival there. And we will be back for Festival in the Borough Saturday, but we can talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Little plug. So no one got it. It was Hey Baby. And Caden, the tuba player, and we were sure people would get it, and they didn't. So go figure.
Well, I know that you have your trombone there handy.
I do.
Ordinarily there's sort of the wisdom of the crowd to sort of try to figure it out, whereas now it's just me. So I'm not sure how this is going to go, but I'm willing to put myself out there. Let's see how this goes. A one-on-one version.
I have to put on my BEEB beads, my voodoo beads here. That came from Mardi Gras World in New Orleans. Picked up beads for everyone in the band, although we've since run out, so new members unfortunately aren't getting them. And I have my BEEB hat, which was from Meyer the Hatter, the South's largest hat store in New Orleans. And Meyer the Hatter has reopened after the hurricane, which is nice. And I have
that is a truly excellent hat.
It is. Thank you. And I have my super old 1947. I looked up the serial number.
Wow.
So who knows what big band this is played with. Now, the hard thing about Name That Tune, it's really hard to remember a song when you're doing it in such tiny little pieces.
Yes.
And also to get those first notes without any kind of warm-up or anything. So which one should I do?
Oh, and also we need to hit that button on your interface.
Oh, yes, you are right. We're going to go to.
There we are.
Original sound is activated.
All right. Let's see how this goes.
All right. One note. Can you name that tune?
Star Spangled Banner.
Good guess, but wrong.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
2 notes. I'm sorry. That wasn't the note.
Okay. All right.
See, like I said.
It's hard, yes. Ooh. Okay, so that's an octave.
It is an octave.
I hear the octave interval.
You're a musician. Yeah.
I'm a musician, so I can hear that. And one of the famous songs that does an interval like that is Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh, you got it, man. 2 notes. 2 notes. So that's enough of that.
Well, you made it easy on me. You did one of the famous interval openings.
Well, yes, one of those interval training songs. So yeah. That's
very cool. Well, I don't know. I mean, currently I'm undefeated. Should we risk it and try it again?
Yeah. Now, what was the other song I was gonna do? Oh, okay. I remember now. Right. And it is not the opening line of the song.
Okay.
So I kind of feel like I need to say that.
Okay.
It's the chorus.
Okay. All right.
So, or the refrain. So. Let me just. Oh, okay.
Okay.
One note.
Wagon wheel.
No.
Okay. Was that one note or three notes? Or two
That was
notes?
two
or three
notes. That was two notes.
Okay.
There might have been a little, Yeah, you got the notes. Those are the notes.
Okay, I think we need three.
Can you do it again?
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen.
Oh, that is a very good guess.
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Okay,
Yeah,
so that wasn't the one we're thinking of. All right,
No,
good. Wait, that was four?
Yeah. Right,
Do that
wait,
again.
that was four. Oh, wait, were we up to three? No, we were up to four, yeah.
We're up to four. Yeah. I just didn't hear the fourth note. Oh, Sweet Caroline.
Oh, you got it.
There you go.
We
Nicely
did
done,
that
sir.
Thank you. We did that at Luther Crest. We haven't played a lot of old folks, senior living communities, I should say, but we played Luther Crest, and they got it in four notes.
Yes, I believe it. I believe
and
it.
Ken played lots of old stuff, and nobody in the band knew the songs he was playing, and the audience went crazy, like, that's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I've never heard of that song.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Well, we're coming up near to the end of the show, and so I want to make sure we have a chance to talk both about upcoming appearances of the Big Easy Easton Brass, as well as College Hill Porch Fest, which is such a cool event, and I'm so grateful to have had the chance to perform at it these past couple of years. So let's first talk about some BEEB dates, and then let's talk about Porch Fest.
Well, I mentioned Melanie Teal, who likes Negronis. Mel is the director of the Washington Business Improvement District in Washington Borough, New Jersey, where this Saturday will be their big festival called Festival in the Borough. And the Big Easy opens the festival. We are going to do one of our patented second line parades at about 11:30 a.m. in downtown Washington. And then we will hit the main stage. I believe they have three stages. There's at least two. I should know this. There's music all throughout the town.
Absolutely.
Throughout the borough. Then we hit the main stage, and we're going to do a stage show for a bit. And closing out the day on that very same stage is the Smithereens.
Oh, wow.
With
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
So you get to open for the Smithereens.
We do. Well, there's about 8.
You get to open for the
between us,
Smithereens. That's what you tell
we get
everybody.
to open for the Smithereens, yes. And then there's a belly dancing group from Phillipsburg that's after us. So.
Oh, right.
And I'm hoping maybe I'm hoping they'll show up early and we'll do a little dance.
Collaboration.
With us, so.
Yeah, that'd be very cool.
Right,
That seems like
that's
it's a
what
very
we like.
natural
We
match.
love collaboration,
Yeah.
as you know.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, we loved when we got to play with the folks from Touchstone. When
Jacoba's
we done
Punch,
some things with Touchstone Theater. Yeah, Jacoba's Punch in the theater, and yes, that was great.
Yeah.
After that is our September 24th, our fourth Friday, downtown Easton, and I believe the theme is once again pets or dogs.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's dogs or all pets, and so people are invited to bring their dogs and have their dogs join the second line, walk the dogs. And last time we did that, I don't remember if we did that one last year or if it was 2 years ago. As you know, everything over the last 20 months is kind of a blur.
Yes, what is time?
Just we hit the pause button and then, we just did that. No, actually, that was a long
That was a while ago.
So Easton Out Loud, and we invite everyone to come meet us at the Bank Street Creamery on the little alley Bank Street.
Yep.
Right
there near Crayola, of course.
Northampton. Yes, right by Crayola. And then we marched around. Then we end up in Center Square by the Bayou and Smartivities.
Yeah.
And then, so that's Friday night. Then Sunday is College Hill Porch Fest, where once again, as we did in year 1 and year 2, we end the afternoon of free music on porches with another second line parade throughout the lovely College Hill neighborhood.
Yeah.
And once again, we encourage everyone who is around to come and join us. We're going to play Garlic Fest at noon on Saturday, October 2nd in downtown Easton, and the Northampton County Festival, once again on October 16th, and then we got a couple of things after that as well. But that's too far in the future.
Holy cow! You are
we're
in
on
demand.
We are on like a 6 weeks of playing every weekend run.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. So let's go back to College Hill Porch Fest, which to me this
Yeah.
is such a cool idea of a way of bringing the sort of a neighborhood community together, as well as bringing local arts and local musicians into it. So talk to us about College Hill Porch Fest.
Well, Porch Fest as a concept started in Ithaca, New York. And now there are, I think there's more than 500 of them around the country. And basically the idea is people open up their front porches or front yards as a free stage, and there's no admission charge or anything like that. You just show up and you have a choice of porch venues and different musicians to see. And so we, this is our third time doing it. Sorry for the shaking there. As you well know, because you were involved from the very first one, and you have been terrific to us. Year one, I said to everybody, Michael Duck was probably responsible for a quarter of our bands, if not more, spreading the word and helping. So we really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Year two, it was a thrill for me because I am on the organizing team, but I'm also a Porch Fest performer. Yeah. And it was great fun to have you join me.
I'm grateful for the invitation.
And we're planning that again.
Indeed.
In our set. So,
instead of some cross-pollination, that you'll come play in my set and I'll come play in yours.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yes, so we're planning on that. So it starts at 1 p.m. on Sunday, September 26th. College Hill, Easton is the neighborhood. There will be brochures that you can pick up at any of the porches, and it'll be really easy to find, where the porches are. Primarily, they are in the section that is east of Cattell Street, which is the main drag north-south, and south of Lafayette Street, although we do have one street with three porches on the other side of Lafayette Street as well, expanded a little bit. And we do have one stage that is on the other side of Cattell, right along Cattell, that new park that Lafayette, right across from the
broadly,
Wawa.
I mean, it's easy walking distance for all of these.
Easy walking.
Yeah.
There are several blocks that are closed down to no vehicular traffic, which is great. So you wander in the streets, and we have a great variety. Once again, there are a little over 20 porches and 40 different shows.
Yeah.
So we planned for 20 and 40, and we're actually a little bit above that. There's a great variety of music. Bagpipers coming back.
That's great.
Jeff Edwards, the Blackthorn Piper, will be back. But also we have and I always have trouble, an Uilleann pipe, the other kind of pipes.
Oh, yes, the Irish.
A Celtic musician who plays that, and we have him as well. There are acoustic solo and duo acts, people strumming their guitars and singing, and then we have full bands. One of the bands I'm really excited about seeing, they were here in year two, is Psychobilly, which features Liz from the Big Easy on bass.
Oh, okay.
And they advertise themselves as fast, loud, and dumb. And they are one of the bands that we put over there in that park across from Wawa to attract the younger, make some noise over there and get people to cross the street. So I missed them last time. I was too busy running around doing other stuff, and really regret that. So looking forward to that. We have jazz people. Oh, here's the Wonton Soups, ska, funk, swing, pop, punk. Yeah, do you know them, the Wonton Soups?
I'm working with them. They're going to be playing at the Chili Fest here in Bethlehem.
Why am I not surprised? Do you know that?
Yes.
Why am I
I was just talking with
that?
Mark from the Wonton Soups just a day or two ago to try to work out how we're doing the sound for the show. So yeah.
Well, you are the bass player of the Lehigh Valley music scene that holds it all together.
Warren is very generous, but yes, no, I think it is so important that there are events like Porch Fest that are so, and Warren and I were talking about Lehigh Valley Music Awards, things that let us come together as a music community and celebrate what each other do. And Porch Fest is one of those great examples of that. So
It is.
thanks to you and to all the other organizers who make that happen. It's very cool.
Yeah, there's a great team who really do the heavy lifting, do the great work. So I'm really excited to be part of this.
Yeah, good deal.
And I have one of my favorite bass players playing with me. Not one of my favorite bass player will be accompanying the group Art for Now, because they said, well, what do you want to call yourself? And I said, well, Art for
Art
Now.
for Now, yeah.
It's kind of like the Buffalo Springfield, naming this song.
Right.
Here's my new song for what it's worth.
For what it's worth,
yeah. So, and that favorite bass player is my son, John Charlton, who's coming up from Philadelphia.
Awesome.
So, as he has done the last two Porch Fests. So,
very cool.
Yes, and you met John.
Yes.
Yeah. 2 years
I got
ago.
to sit in with him
You got to
briefly.
sit in with him, yeah.
All right, this has been so cool. Thank you so much for making time to sit in and do this. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you. I'm really glad. Well, first of all, I'm glad I'm upright today.
Yes. No food poisoning
No food.
at the moment. Yes.
I haven't eaten anything for 3 days just to make sure. Which is why this Negroni is really,
Woo. All right,
this
so much.
is great fun. I love this show. Glad to be on it. Glad to help.
Thank you so much to Art, and
we'll
also
see you soon.
to Warren. Thanks so much for Warren for making time to be here.
Yeah.
So here's to you, here's to Warren, here's to everyone who was able to join us for this evening's show. All right. So now I'm going to put it back on me, and we are going to wrap things up. Thank you all again for hanging out here and checking out Rockin' the Valley's Cyber Speakeasy, your source for music, conversation, and cocktails. We always have great shows coming up here on Rockin' the Valley, so please always be checking the socials for Rockin' the Valley, the Rockin' the Valley website, as well as, of course, hit that subscribe button here on the Rockin' the Valley YouTube channel. And hey, it also helps if you give us a like. You can certainly share this. Other people who are in your orbit can learn about what we're doing here on the program, and you can check all of that out. So, until next time, I'm going to clear the space so that all the other cool people who are going to be here in Rockin' the Valley can do their thing. But thank you so much for hanging out. My name is Mike. I am Not For Coltrane. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time.